games to watch. A lot of good ones on the calendar, on the schedule. Jay, I want to come to you first, talk about Lions, Vikings. All four teams in the NFC North have 4 wins. That's pretty crazy. So, Jay, fill me in on this Lions-Vikings matchup.
Probably two of the best teams in the National Football League. You throw Kansas City, Baltimore, and then you throw these two teams in here. They're really playing well right now. Minnesota, we've talked about Minnesota and how they've played great defense and offensive special teams. All 3 units playing well together. And they've done it against good teams now. They beat the Giants at New York. They beat San Francisco at home. They beat Houston. They beat Green Bay at Green Bay, and they beat the Jets. So they played quality quarterbacks. They played on the road. They played at home, and they've dominated the games. It's not even been close. Their front is allowing very minimal rushing yards. I think San Fran rushed for over 100 yards. That's the only team to do it. So they're playing good run defense, and then they're letting their linebackers rush, pace, and Harrison Smith in the back end, and Byron Murphy, he's making interceptions. These guys are flying around the football, but you can't say enough of what Brian Flores has done defensively with that scheme and how that team has bought into what he's trying to do. And they all can do different things. They can rush, they can drop, they can intercept balls. It's been fun to watch that defense. And then offensively, Sam Darnold, I mean, he's up for comeback player of the year, and deservedly so. He's playing extremely well. They have a marquee A-plus number 1 wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. Addison is starting to come on. Obviously, the tight end play is what it is until they get their tight end Hutchinson back. But they're just playing extremely well. The Minnesota Vikings, I can't really think of a weakness. Their tackles are big, they're strong, and they're athletic. Bradbury's a good-ass center. I mean, I don't know what to point to, other than the fact that Darnold has not really been tested in a come-from-behind fashion. Known passing situations. They've had to lead throughout most of their games pretty comfortably, and he's been able to do the play actions in the quick game. Hasn't had to throw a lot of 5-7-step drops when you've had to come from behind, and that's the only concern I have for him. And then Detroit on the flip side, they're just ripping people. They've scored 42, 47 points the last 2 weeks. Jared Goff was 18 for 18 2 weeks ago. This week he was 18 for 25. They got multiple ways to hit you. The 2-headed monster at running back we've talked about many times. But I love the way Jamison Williams is coming on. He just added that extra element of a huge play. He's had 2 long touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. He's playing well. Laporta's obviously a great player. Their offensive line, we've talked about till we're blue in the face. They have no weaknesses on offense, and Ben Johnson calls a great game. He has a great flow to his play calling. Dan Campbell has a great pulse of that football team, what the identity is supposed to be. So this is going to be 2 heavyweight champions going at it early in the season to really stick their stake in the ground and say, hey, we are the team to beat in the NFC North. It's going to come to this game, and I think the winner of this game is going to feel real confident. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but this is a great test for both teams and for everybody to see how good both these teams are. Definitely the game of the week, in my opinion. Definitely a lot of storylines here. Turnovers is going to be huge. Detroit is +6 on a turnover margin. Minnesota's +4. Something's got to give right there. I think the team that protects the ball obviously eliminates the penalties like we saw last night in a Jet debacle. That was brutal. Penalties can ruin a game. Turnovers can ruin a game. And then obviously red zone conversion rate and third down conversion rate will be critical in this game. But it's going to be a fun game to watch. I don't know who's going to win, but the way Detroit's playing, you got to think Detroit's got a better chance to win. But I don't know. Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, they're doing some great things over there.
Yeah, they're coming off a bye. Well, it'd be hard for me to remember or think of anybody. Jared Goff threw it 18 times. They scored 42 points. He threw it 25 times. They scored 47 points. So he's averaging like 21, 22 passes a game, and they're scoring 40-plus points. Normally, if you're scoring 40 points, you're throwing it 50 times a game. So to me, what they do offensively, running the football, Montgomery, Gibbs, staying ahead of the chains, like Goff is playing extremely efficient, but it's not like he's having to win the game throwing the football.
Yeah, that's going to be the big test, the big question I have. Will they be able to run the ball against Minnesota's defense? Minnesota has some big guys. That Tillery guy from Notre Dame, he's like 6'8", 320 pounds. And Phillips from Stanford, he's a big, huge guy in there. Jonathan Bullard from Florida, he's a big guy, big defensive end. And they've done very good against the run, like I've mentioned. They have linebackers. You mentioned that Pace guy, rookie free agent or second year free. He's all over the place. So, and the guy that Cashman they got from Houston, he's all over the joint. So it's going to be a great battle to see how Ben Johnson attacks Minnesota's defense. Is he going to try to run the ball between the tackles, between those big guys, get outside with, Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery? I can't wait to see the game plan for both teams.
Well, the one little note there, Jay, is I just saw Sam Darnold can't win comeback player of the year because now they want it to go to guys overcoming injuries. So they're screwing Darnold. If there's a guy that deserves comeback, he overcame New York, Carolina, San Francisco, but apparently he can't win that anymore. And my whole fear with these teams is Detroit's just been coasting through the last few games. They've been dominating everyone they've gone up against. You look at the Seattle game, they're scoring at will. The Dallas game was like, all right, let's have this series. Let's just make this series all about Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's make this series all about Jamison Williams. And it really they haven't been tested yet. And it'll be interesting to see them going against an opponent like the Vikings. Now, I'm going to push back a little bit here, Jay. Like, have they really played the best competition?
Who?
The Vikings.
Yeah. They played Jordan Love. They played C.J. Stroud, beat them 34-7. They're 4-1 or 5-1. They beat San Francisco. I mean, who else you wanted to play?
I mean, like we're talking about, like the Jets aren't world beaters. The Giants.
If the Jets beat them, then the Jets would be 3-3. We'd be talking totally different about them, right?
49ers have had multiple collapses. They're 3-3. Packers for the first time looked good last. The 49ers. What do you mean? They've lost multiple games late in the game where they've blown leads.
At home.
Everybody's got a bad loss.
I still don't think they're they're in the echelon of the conversation.
I would have never thought that either, Justin. I agree with you 100%. But I think when you put on the tape and you look at the way Darnold's throwing the ball, and they got Addison and Justin Jefferson, and you got Aaron Jones. I mean, these are some pretty damn good players, and their best tight end's not even playing. I mean, they're still pretty good. They got two excellent tackles. They got a great play caller in Kevin O'Connell. But defensively, they stopped the run. And then when you get in third down, Brian Flores is one of the last guys you want to go against as an offensive coordinator or a quarterback on third down. This guy, it's cover zero. Or it's drop 8, drop 9. I mean, you don't know what the hell he's going to do. So that's why they're so effective, I think, is because offensively they have an elite play caller and they have elite players at certain key positions. And then defensively, they get the ball back and they're relentless and they stop the run and they're sound in what they do. And they don't give up many big plays. So that's why I think they are deserving to be 5-0. They've earned every win and they've dominated every game. 28-6, 23-17, 34-7. They barely beat Green Bay, but they're playing pretty damn good, Justin.
I think they've only been down for like 3 minutes. I think they've only not had the lead for 3 minutes the whole season, which is pretty insane to think about. And Aaron Rodgers made a great point last week. He's like, I mean, Jay just brought it up, like their third down package is a nightmare. It's the same as if you play a Dennis Allen, New Orleans third down package, but it's what they do on first and second down to get you to third down, right? They stop the run, they're stout inside, and they make a firm commitment on both sides of the ball to stay on track, right? On offense, they do a great job of never being in 3rd and 15. They get 3 on first down. They might get 4 on second. Now you got your whole playbook available at 3rd and 3, right? And same thing on defense. They stop you on first. They force an incompletion on second. Now you get to the 7-up and you can do all the crazy things on third and 10 plus. And that's what's been so impressive about what they've been able to do. And as Jay said, they have. I mean, they've played, Purdy, Stroud, and Rodgers in 3 of your first 6 weeks. I mean, that's pretty damn good competition if you ask me.
And I'll say this about Harrison Smith. Call me crazy. I think this guy has an impact on the defense, a lot like Troy Polamalu had at Pittsburgh. First, second down, he's everywhere. Is he coming off the edge? Is he in the box? Is he free safety? Is he cover 2? And then third down and long, is he coming off the edge? Where the hell is Harrison Smith at? He's picking off balls. He's tackling people for loss. This guy is a dominant player for a long time at his position, and he deserves a ton of credit for the success of that defense.
Texans, Packers, QB matchup of the week. I know that we got Jared Goff and you got Sam Darnold, but these young guys are fun to watch. And if you look at Houston Texans starting with C.J. Stroud, this dude's just consistent every week, completing around 70% of his passes. He's thrown 10 touchdowns so far through 6 games. Even with the loss of Nico Collins, he's got Tank Dell, he's got Dalton Schultz, he's got Diggs, right? I think their offensive line is a little bit of a question mark right now. They've run the ball well, but not consistently. They've had big plays. They ran the wham play a couple times last week. I think they got like 85 yards rushing on this. This is a cool little twist, AQ.
I love it.
Block the D lineman, create a nice little crease for Joe Mixon. Having Joe Mixon back makes a big difference for this offense. He runs the ball hard downhill, but he's also a great pass catcher. And they went into New England, scored 34 points, ran away with that one. I just think this is a really good offense that is explosive. And the gunslinger CJ Stroud just doesn't make mistakes. He just plays consistent. He has a good understanding of when to rip it downfield, when to throw the check down. He avoids sacks as good as anybody in their second year as I've ever seen. But I do think offensively up front, they can play a little bit better in protection, in running the football. But they are a solid football team. And then on the flip side, Jordan Love and the Packers. I mean, Jordan Love's only played 4 games this year. He's already thrown 12 touchdowns. Now he has thrown 6 picks. So there's been a little bit of an up and down, but I was impressed watching him last week in the rain. Almost played a perfect first half, threw 3 touchdowns against the Cardinals. Watch this play for Green Bay. I mean, he motions the guy over. Nobody travels. He doesn't know for sure if it's cover 0 or not. There's a lot of guys in the box, but nobody moves. Arizona did a pretty nice job. And then he's just 35 yards off his back foot, throws it up one-on-one. The DB's back turn, makes a big play to really put this game away. I mean, Jordan Love is not afraid to just let it fly, let it loose. He's got good receivers out there. Jay, you like him. Dobbs, Reed, any way they can get Josh Jacobs going. He's good for 50, 60 yards a game. Their offense is going to score points. I think the question for me is, can Green Bay's pass defense hold up against the Texans? Stroud doesn't turn it over very often, right? He's efficient. He's got good receivers all around him. They're going to throw the football. The Packers on the flip side are going to score points. They push the ball down the field. They're big plays. They got good receivers running and catching. They're going to score points. I just think it's going to be a matter of, can Green Bay make some stops in the pass game to keep the Texans in check?
I believe the Packers have forced 17 turnovers. Their defense is playing pretty decent, and they just shut down your boy Kyler Murray, didn't they?
It was raining.
It was raining. Yeah, you got a little hands.
That was an ugly one, though. The Cardinals never stood a chance in that one.
Marvin Harrison went down early in the game. It just
that's because my boy Jair,
James Conner too. That hurt them big.
Yeah, that's a big menace. James Conner's a great player, but Green Bay does a good job on defense. But you're right. I think it's going to come down to, I think Green Bay relies a lot on big plays, and Arizona's got to. They got to eliminate. Houston's got to eliminate giving up the big plays, and nobody talks about how good Houston's defense is playing. They're playing outstanding. I mean, They really are. So I think it's going to come down. We talk about Stroud and Jordan Love, but this 2 defenses, I think it's going to come down who can protect the quarterback, who can get after the quarterback, old school, smash mouth, rush the passer, protect the passer, who can do it best is going to win.
I mean, in my opinion, it's going to come down to the offensive line. I think, Colt, you nailed it. I agree. Houston's offensive line is leaving a lot to be desired, right? Like when you watch them, I think they got first and second rounders all over that offensive line, and they're just not playing great. But Dameon Pierce and Mixon coming back this past week made them look a lot better. They got a little creative in the run game. The one thing that Bobby Slowick does a great job of is dialing up play actions to help them out. They run a ton of play actions, constantly moving the line. They don't have to sit and drop back pass, protect the whole game long. You get, 15 to 20 nakeds or play actions off of it, and it helps them out. And so CJ's been unbelievable. I mean, he's been unbelievable. His accuracy, I mean, you and I talk about it every week. We usually FaceTime each other on Monday when we see some stuff, and it's like, this is insane what he's doing right now. Can he keep it up? Yeah, probably, and he probably will again this week.
My biggest fear is probably the Houston Texans' biggest strength, actually. You lose Nico Collins, who has been playing the best football of his career. He was on pace to have 2,000 yards receiving. They have one of the deepest receiving rooms in football. They have Tank Dell. They have Stephon Diggs. Then you jog off the field. Robert Woods, who at one point was a number 1 receiver in L.A., he can come out there. He's been returning punts. John Mechie, who is a early second round pick who flashed in preseason. So fortunately, when you lose your best player, you actually have some studs behind him that can step in and play. The one thing that makes me nervous about Jordan Love, and I know 2 weeks ago, he threw that interception when he was trying to avoid the safety in the end zone. He makes this catastrophic mistake that results in a pick 6 for the Rams. He threw that one up against the Cardinals. Like, I get it's one-on-one coverage, zero pressure, throw it up, but it wasn't like it was like an unbelievable throw. It was kind of underthrown. Some of the decision making from Jordan Love, I would like to see that. Like, don't make those catastrophic errors, because the Houston Texans are going to capitalize, and they are a very good football team, and they're going to make you pay. I mean, I tend to lean with the Texans on this one. I know everyone's super high on Green Bay, but I'm just still like, 8 games last year. Jordan Love got hurt earlier on in the season. He's coming back to rust. Don't get me wrong. He looked great against the Cardinals, but most quarterbacks have looked great against the Cardinals. It'll be an interesting test to see how for real Jordan Love is.
Jay, going into this game, if you're the head coach, you walk in the defensive room and say, we want to heat this guy up. He's coming off a knee. Or do you just say that's not a big deal? He's already healthy. Like, is that a thing?
I think it depends on how you feel your 4-man rush is going to succeed. Obviously, Houston has a pretty good 4-man heater rotation that can get after the quarterback, but and then how your corners can hold up. I don't know the health of their corners right now, but if they feel like their corners can hold up, then yeah, let's get after his ass, and put some pressure on him. If the corners need some help, we'll play a little bit more conservative and try to force them into throwing some mistakes and try to disguise our coverage and show cover 2 and come down and play 3 buzz or whatever it might be and try to confuse Jordan, because if he does have a knock, he does throw the ball into coverage from time to time. But Justin, it was cover 0. There was a free rusher in his face. What did you want him to do? Just take a 14-yard loss?
No. I'm saying against the Rams, he did the same thing, and he just rolled out and threw a pick 6.
Threw it off his back foot with a guy coming right down his face, 45 yards. Wasn't that great of a pass.
Well, I'm building off of what he did against the Rams the week before, trying to escape that pressure and just make a catastrophic error. Like
that was different. That was him just trying a little bit too much. This was the only play that he had available, was to throw it off his back foot and give a Romeo a chance to make a play, and he did. And sometimes you tell a quarterback, Colt, right? Say it's either, if you throw it up there, it's the receiver's job to either get the offensive PI or the defensive PI or incomplete or touchdown. It's not going to be intercepted. You got to turn into a defensive back in that situation.
And
Receivers
overthrow it. Don't overthrow it.
Yeah.
So my whole point on this was, I'm still waiting to see who Jordan Love is. We saw 8 games last year. We've seen 4 this year. He got paid $55 million a year. I'm just waiting to see is he the real deal or not?
Yeah, he's a real deal. How about that? I'll answer that right now. Yes, he is. That guy's a baller. He's got no fear. He can spin it at all kinds of different arm angles. Yes, he's in the top tier of NFL quarterbacks right now, and he's young and he's still getting better. He's a guy that you would want if you got a head coaching job at, hey, Jordan Love's our quarterback. You'd say, where do I sign? Right? Wouldn't you?
How much of the cap is he taking up right now?
We don't need to go there. We don't need to go there.
No, we're done. But I'll keep it with you, Justin. 49ers, Chiefs. Chiefs undefeated. Do they keep it up?
Chiefs undefeated is also a little misleading. They've been into some tight games, but they're coming off the bye. They have a wild amount of injuries. They lost Rashee Rice for the season. Hollywood Brown's been out all year. They lose their starting running back. They have concerns at left tackle. But what they don't have concerns of are the big 3 that they have: Mahomes, Kelsey, Jones. Vintage Kelsey is coming back out when they needed him to. He comes back from his trips with his billionaire girlfriend. He's all rejuvenated. He's ready to roll. He's looking to have another big week. And is there a bigger coaching advantage than Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo versus anybody? The defense is carrying them again this year. They're scoring 23 points a game, and they're only allowing 17 points per game. On the flip side, you look at San Francisco, and you have the Super Bowl rematch. Can we get back? Are these 2 teams that we think can get back to the Super Bowl? The Niners, as I mentioned earlier, have lost some weird games. They lost the Rams game where they were up. They had no business allowing the Rams to be in that game. They lost to the Cardinals. They're scoring 27 points a game, averaging 150 yards. But it's weird. The defense isn't playing as well as it has in the past. New defensive coordinator, Nick Sorensen. They're allowing 21 points a game. They have some injuries concerns. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's going over to Germany, getting God knows what injected into his calves and Achilles to try to come back. You lose Javon Hargrave, who's sneakily one of the best defensive tackles in football. Your first-round pick still out, unfortunately got shot. Dre Greenlaw, one of the hardest-hitting linebackers I've ever gone against. They're waiting to get him back. Luckily, they have Fred Warner, who is the best linebacker in football. Brock Purdy's playing some of his best quarterback play. We just talked about it. I don't know. Now I got a question. Would you rather have Jordan Love or Brock Purdy? Jay, you can answer that in a second. But this one really comes down to the 49ers' ability to run the ball. They're averaging 150 yards a game. And the Chiefs have been playing great defense. The defense has been winning them games. I personally, and I'm sure I'll get just absolutely crushed for this one, the Chiefs are going on the road. They're underdogs. No one ever goes against Patrick Mahomes. I still believe in the 49ers. I think the talent they have with Ayuk, with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Juszczyk, Trent Williams, Purdy playing his best football. I believe that the 49ers, whoever they plug in there at running back, I know Jordan Mason went down in this game. Elijah Mitchell's out. They're going to trot a rookie out there. I still think the 49ers are one of the best teams in football, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs may face their first loss of the season. But go back to that question. Is there a bigger coaching advantage than Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo versus whoever?
I think there's a lot of very good coaches out there. Andy Reid has proven to be one of the best coaches ever with his record over the course of time. So, yes, I'm not going to argue the fact that Andy Reid's and then Spags, what he's done with that defense, you're probably 100% right, 98% right. But there's some other good coaches out there.
It feels so good to hear you say that.
I want to argue with you so bad right now, but I would sound like an idiot if I said, yeah, these guys are as good. Nobody.
I actually would have preferred that if you would have countered that point.
I was trying to think real quick, but not yet. Somebody will emerge. Somebody with a really good quarterback will emerge. Maybe it's Matt LaFleur with Jordan Love. Who knows? Maybe he'll emerge as one of those top guys.
I think the Niners were up 10 in the Super Bowl last year in the third quarter, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, it was a pretty good game there for a little bit. I wouldn't say that like they were thoroughly getting out coached by any means. Don't get me wrong.
They did get out coached because one coach deferred.
I get it. By the end, I get it. We go mid third to the fourth and overtime. I get it.
He didn't defer, I should say. He received
that ended my argument real quick right there. But the Niners, they're missing something this year, and I think it is on the defensive side of the ball. I think offensively they're still doing some nice things. I think they got a little bit of a case of like what Detroit likes to do. It's same thing. It's like this week we need to get Ayuk going. This week we need to maybe get Deebo some. Hey, let's get 2 touchdowns to Kittle this week, right? Like they got a problem with having a lot of talent. As a coach, I'm sure Jay's sitting there like that's never a problem. But to keep all those guys happy, sometimes it is. But you're right. They lose Hargrave. They don't, it's the same thing, right? Like over in Pittsburgh, like you can slide the line to Bosa now the whole game long, right? And that's kind of what they're doing. They're chipping. He's still a dominant player. Don't get me wrong.
I was going to say, at Seattle, I think it was the most dominant besides the TJ Watt week 1.
Yeah.
Performances.
But again, like whenever we played against them, whenever we were together in Arizona, they got Eric Armstead, they got DeForest Buckner in the middle, they got 2 ends, they got the same linebackers, right? Like they're missing that right now. Now they got one guy here and 2 really good linebackers. Their secondary's in shambles right now. They just signed Adrian Amos today. So that's down to their third safety with a guy off the street. So, Mahomes is sitting there kind of licking his chops. But again, his receivers are the walking wounded as well. So it's going to be up in the air. I think the edge does go to San Fran, though, because they can hammer the run game and just kind of control the clock if they want to.
Everybody knows the expectations of the Chiefs, but they're 5-0, right? But everybody's down on them. Like, they're going to lose this week. Oh, they're going to lose this week. No, they'll fall. They don't have any skill. Spagnuolo's defense is the heartbeat of this team, right? Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the league, right? They have those 2 things going for them, and they're just finding ways to win games. So I wouldn't be shocked if they go to San Francisco and find a way again. That's just who they are right now.
Yeah, there's no way you can ever count Patrick Mahomes out. And then, like, adding Chris Jones, we gave him some flowers earlier on. There isn't a guy who turns it on more than Chris Jones late in a game. He always seems to make that big play. You got Trent McDuffie, who's come on as one of the top defensive backs. He's always mixing it up and he's getting in there. So again, I wouldn't be surprised. Are these your 2 favorites to go back to the Super Bowl?
Not mine now. No. San Fran's kind of taking a step back. I like Detroit.
Green Bay. Green Bay.
I like Green Bay a little bit. Yeah, the way their defense is forcing turnovers and Jordan Love getting back in the mix and a young core of receivers they have. But San Fran is obviously really good. They got to get some people back. And I like Minnesota, man. I'm telling you, they stay healthy on defense. These guys are dangerous there, Justin. I know 5-0. It's a little misleading to be 5-0. Like
crown them, baby.
Kansas City. It's a little misleading because they're 5-0 because they've won some close games. How hard it is to be 5-0. Do you remember playing football, Justin? How hard it is to be 5-0. A lot of things got to go right.
Jay.
You got to play good on offense. You got to play great on defense. Your special teams has to be good, and that's what all 5-0 teams have in common. There's 2 of them. They play great defense defense. They play good offense. They're unselfish, and they don't turn a ball over. So that's why they're 5-0.
All I'm saying is I think there might be some regression to mean. Like, I think Sam Darnold may.
Super Bowl champions. They're 5-0. They have the best best
I'm talking
coordinator.
about Chiefs. I'm talking about the Vikings. Sorry. I'm talking about Sam Darnold. Yeah, I'm talking about Darnold maybe regressing a bit.
I thought that when they beat the Giants week 1. And then they played San Francisco, whooped their ass.
True.
And then they played Houston and beat them 34-7, held C.J. Stroud at 200 yards passing, sacked them 4 times and picked them twice, right? And then they beat Green Bay, have a big lead. They let them come back a little bit. Then they beat the hell out of the Jets. So I've been trying to figure out a flaw with the Vikings, too. I just can't do it yet.
That's fair. AQ, Monday Night Football, Bucks, Ravens. You played for both of these teams, so you ought to give us one great insight into this game.
Who's got better food, Baltimore or just real quick, Tampa Bay, facilities wise?
Baltimore's the best facility I've ever been in. I mean, it's literally the guy from Under Armour put his name on it, and it's like a castle. Look it up on Google. It's unbelievable. And the food is incredible. It's incredible. John Harbaugh did work for Andy Reid. Andy Reid likes his food. John Harbaugh took that same thing to Baltimore. You see what I'm saying? You get it?
Yeah, I like that. Gruden never fed his guys well, I bet.
Yeah, that might be it.
Gruden, did you feed your guys, or did you?
I tried my best, Justin.
No
I just
way
didn't have a lot of say. I didn't have a lot of say in anything other than.
Hey guys, here's your ballpark franks for the day. Get the hell out of here. Jay doesn't believe in nutritionists. Remember, he's like, these fucking guys don't need it.
Jeez.
We're paying them enough money as is, doing dollar dog night for his players.
That's where Colt should have chimed in and said, well, at least they didn't make us pay for our food like Arizona. That would have been a perfect alley-oop.
Oh, you want bacon? It's $6 instead of $5 now.
We had a chef there. He was pretty good, right?
Yeah, he was good.
Chef Sean. He was good. What the heck?
Yeah, Colt went to San Fran. Colt knows good food in San Francisco.
That's a fair point. Yeah, San Fran for me had the best food of any place I've been.
All right, sorry to get sidetracked.
No, you're good. Let's get back to it. So I sat in team meeting rooms and listened to countless keys to victory over my 12 years playing and 1 year coaching. And the first thing that's said every single team meeting for keys to victory, run the football, stop the run, right? First thing that's said. You got 2 teams that are going to try and do that, right? And the one thing that you're going to see, the Buccaneers ran for 250 this past week. That's an anomaly. They have not done that all year long. So you look at Baltimore, the first 2 weeks struggled, but the last 3, they're 200 plus every game, right? So both teams are going to try and assert their dominance and assert it often. Obviously, King Henry's doing what King Henry does. Lamar Jackson's running the ball more than he's run it in years. He's got his contract now, which also helps, but he's running the QB sweep for a good 50. Ricard's been phenomenal. Their ability to get Mark Andrews back involved in the pass game was incredible. They already got Likely. He's doing a fantastic job. They got good receivers. Baltimore's as complete of a team as there is, minus the secondary, who struggled a little bit, but they're stopping the run on defense, which is allowing teams to pass it. The secondary has to step up and do their things. On the other side of the football, Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield has exceeded all expectations down there. He's playing at a high level. He had his little bit of a lull. You're going to see 3 or 4 of those a year like you do every time with Baker. And that's, he's going to throw a pick here because he's sitting in the pocket at 6 foot even and gets a ball tipped. But listen, he comes back off those 3 interceptions and still has 100 passer rating. I mean, he still played a very good football game. Tampa Bay had over 150 yards after contact this past week. Chris Godwin gets hit on a 3-yard, bubble pass and takes it 55, 60 yards to the house. He's playing at a high level. Mike Evans is doing Hall of Fame things like he does every other year, right? And Rashad White down, Bucky Irving steps in, and they get Tucker, who I
was going to say, give a shout out to my boy,
who was a rookie last year and ran for 130 yards. They beat the shit out of the New Orleans Saints. So this is going to be a fun matchup to watch. It's going to be 2 teams. The big thing that you're going to see is Todd Bowles is going to have a plan to stop the run game. He's going to try and do what Belichick does, make you beat him with something that you don't want to do and make Lamar Jackson win throwing the ball. The difference is Lamar Jackson's going 20 of 26 for 300 every week too. So good luck. It's going to be a heck of a game. I think Baltimore ends up winning, but it's going to be a heck of a game, I think.
Are the Ravens the hottest team in the NFL right now, 4 in a row?
Yeah, I think so, because they figured out their offensive line. They figured out how to get Ricard, and What are you doing over
I
there?
think 5 is more than 4. Minnesota and Kansas City won 5 in a row.
All right, would you rather play Minnesota this weekend, Chiefs, or the Ravens? If you're a head coach, who would you rather play this weekend?
What kind of offense do I have? Do I have a team that can throw the ball?
You have Jordan Love. You got Jordan Love. You got Jordan Love in Green Bay.
Let's make it real easy. You got Tampa Bay's offense.
I'd rather play Baltimore and throw the ball all over with Mike Evans and Godwin, and their corners stink right now. But
Chris Godwin's been balling out.
Then you have to flip over, and somebody's got to tackle Derrick Henry and Lamar, so maybe not Baltimore. So all these teams have great weapons or something great about it. Would you rather play a defense? Would you rather be a defensive lineman and go against Detroit or Baltimore, AQ? I mean, you're going to get bludgeoned either way, right?
Yeah, and same thing. Like, I don't want to go against Vita Vea all day long for 60 plays a game either down in Tampa, so...
What do these guys have in common, these 4 teams that we're talking about? They have great offensive linemen, and they have pretty damn good quarterback, and they can play defensive linemen. The line of scrimmage for these teams are pretty damn good, minus maybe Detroit now that Hutchinson's gone. But, I mean, the quality teams in the league right now that you can see the cream is starting to rise to the top. You could see the guys that are the best teams in the NFL. I promise you, barring crazy injuries, the teams that we're talking about will be in the playoffs seeds 1 through 6, and it's not even going to be close. There's nobody that I see in the league that can come overtake these teams that we're talking about, the teams that we've done tonight.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Zay Flowers too, because Zay Flowers showed off his wheels last week. I think he had 130 yards, and then Mark Andrews coming out of nowhere and having a resurgence. So great point by AQ. If you don't want to let Lamar sit back there and throw either, because he can also pick you apart right now.
That's what happens is Washington came out, they want to play some cover 2, right? They want to play a little cover 2, but they got to get extra guys in the box. So all they saw the entire first half was single high. So all these in-breaking cuts with Zay Flowers and Bateman and Andrews, they're just gutting them, and Lamar's just dropping dimes. He's not seeing any coverage rotation changes. There's no challenge as far as what he's seeing defensively in the secondary, and he's just play action, bang, boom, boom, handoff, zone read. They got it all going on offense right now. Somebody's going to challenge him. Somebody's going to figure out a way to stop the run with the light box and be able to play coverage. And maybe it'll be Todd Bowles this week. We'll see, because they have Vita Vea and have some good defensive linemen.
Going back to Baltimore and their defense, secondary struggles, does bringing back Dean Pease change any of that for the Baltimore Ravens?
I think it gives another a set of eyes and ideas, especially on third down and red zone. I remember Dean Pease going against him. He had a really, really good red zone plan on defense. I mean, I can never tell it was cover 0, drop 8. I mean, they did a really good job in red zone and of course on third down. But I think the secondary is going to continue to get better and better the more they play together, the more they communicate. And like I said before, they're stopping the run extremely well at Baltimore, which is the first step. Like you said, AQ, the first step is stop and run. Now we can do some things in the secondary and help them out.
They're another team that doesn't have a very feared pass rusher, right? Like, they got Van Noy and Owe on the other side, right? Like, they're used to having guys over the years. They're used to having Terrell Suggs and Zadarius Smith and Judon and all these guys. And then even Jadeveon Clowney last year, who had a little bit of a resurgence for them, who's been known as a guy who can just wreak havoc in the backfield. He had a great year for them last year and gave them a little push, but you're not fearing Van Noy. I know Van Noy's got 6 sacks or something like that this year, but you're not sitting over there as an offensive line and being like, all right, we're super fearful of those 2 guys on the edge. So that's one thing that I think can help the secondary if they end up, getting some pressure from either the interior guys, because Matabuke has been down a little bit in sacks and pressures this year as well.